So there have been quite a few requests by a lot of few people in the comments and in our messages as well that you need to have a plan forward for the next few days, specifically concerning the VARC portion of the CAT examination. So this video is just a humble attempt to address just that. So in this video, I'll try to cover a particular path that you can follow in order to push your scores a bit higher. So if you're scoring in the 30-40 range, how exactly you can push them to probably 50 to 60 or even in higher range. So let's start out by something that you are not supposed to be doing for the next few days. So the first idea is that I am probably the most vocal advocate of reading actively and frequently in order to improve your comprehension skills and your comprehension base, because reading a wide variety of text gives you the entire idea of dealing with, gives you the arsenal of dealing with different types of text, because we do not know what sort of reading comprehension passages, what sort of texts you will get on your actual CAT examination or even any other examination of that matter. So the best way to deal with that is to read as many different types of articles, as many different types of texts, or as many different types of books as possible. But that is something that is a fundamental approach. Obviously, with just 25 days to go, that is not something that's going to work now. So that is not something that you're supposed to be doing at this juncture, at this point. Okay, if you are able to find any spare time that you would have spent on reading, probably use that time to solve a few more RCs, a few more VA problems, take another sectional or stuff like that. But it doesn't really make a lot of sense at this point to read a lot of lengthy articles, probably from websites like Aeon or from NetGeo or from Guardian. That doesn't make any sense at this point. That is something that you were supposed to be doing from probably the past few years or probably the past few months. That is not something that would make any sense now. If anything, that would probably be more harmful than you think, because you would just end up mixing everything up in your brain, and that is just going to end up confusing you even more. So for instance, if you come across an extremely difficult text or an extremely difficult article, you are probably going to be way more demotivated by that okay, I'm not able to understand that, so what do I do here? Am I really stupid? That shouldn't be the case. Okay, you shouldn't ever get that feeling, get that thought in your brain that you are stupid or you can't do that. It's totally fine to not understand something, but the important point here is that it's really not the time to spend time building your fundamentals. It's time to actually revise your concepts. Okay, it's actually time to get back in sync with your studies. If there had been a certain break or anything of that sort, it's basically the time where you just will just change the gear and just go in full force. That I just need to practice and practice. I just need to analyze where I'm going wrong, and then you need to work upon those areas. Fundamental building is not something that you are supposed to be doing in the last 25 days or even the last 1 month. That said, you are only supposed to focus on your key areas, but that doesn't mean that you can completely disregard a certain area in itself. So for instance, if you're not good with para summaries, okay, at least practice enough para summaries so that you're able to identify the sitters and get them right. Because the weird part about this year's CAT examination is that we do not know the distribution of questions. We do not know how many questions you will get. So it's really tricky to understand how many questions you will get or what type of questions you will get, specifically around the verbal ability portion. It could be the case that you can get para jumbles or odd man outs or summaries, as we have been getting in the past 3 years, or it could be the case that CAT authorities basically reintroduce some other verbal ability topics such as critical reasoning or sentence correction or para completion or even vocabulary as of that matter. Although I personally believe that the probability of getting grammar or critical reasoning or vocabulary directly on your CAT examination as a VA portion question is a bit less. But then again, that is just my personal opinion. I could be wrong. You could actually see those questions on your examination as well. Among these, I honestly do not think that if you just have to drop one particular topic, make it sentence correction. Among all of these, I think sentence correction is the most difficult topic out there. It takes a tremendous amount of memory to remember all of the various rules and structures, and then again you have to practice every single rule over and over again, all the combinations of all of the rules or of all of the concepts. So I guess if there is one topic that you can skip out on, that is going to be sentence correction, but that's again only from the point of view of CAT. Sentence correction and grammar again forms a really large part of the other few management interest tests that you will be seeing or probably you will be taking. But still, you cannot ignore any other question. Probably what you can do at this point is that you can go through the previous year CAT papers, understand what are the varieties of questions in the VA portion that you get, and practice 100 questions of every single category, so that you are at least aware of the different types of categories. We have been sharing a lot of these questions from a lot of these categories on our Facebook group. You can just search for these questions of all these categories and you can practice from there as well. Okay, the next idea is to obviously build a strategy that guesses the number of questions. You cannot do that. Okay, if everything that you're working towards is based upon a certain guess that has a high probability of being wrong, then don't do that. Specifically in the VARC portion, because that is not something that would make any sense on the exam scenario. Okay, or in any sort of exam setting. This does not work in IFT. This won't work in CAT either. Okay, the best thing that you can do is that you can take a lot of sections, you can take a lot of mocks, figure out a strategy of your own, and then see how that works out for you. Okay, just as an example, I have also given a model strategy towards the end of the video that you can look on in case you haven't yet figured out a strategy of your own. Although that shouldn't be the case, you should have a strategy of your own by now. But just in case you have only recently started your preparation, or you're just giving this a CAT attempt this year only for the hell of it, then just go through that, understand the thought process behind that strategy, and see whether that works for you as well. Okay, and on the same line, please do not try to assume a difficulty level of the examination. So we normally have this prediction that this could be a pretty easy examination. Okay, because there has been a pattern change, there has been a significant change from the past few years, but that doesn't particularly mean that you will get an easy or a difficult paper. Prepare for the worst case scenario, prepare for any sort of paper, have a strategy in place that what you will do if there is a difficult paper, what can you do in case there's an easy paper. Okay, have a strategy in place for every single difficulty category, and be prepared for everything. Okay, do not assume a certain difficulty level. That is not going to be helpful in any way. At the same time, do not try to copy paste anyone else's strategy. Although this is somewhat contradictory to what I just said, that I'll be giving a model strategy, but then again, that's just a model strategy. You have to modify that as per your own liking, as per your own strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so these are the things that you're not supposed to be doing. So what are the things that you should be doing? Okay, the first thing that you should be doing is that you need to take at least 15 to 20 VARC sections before your examination. These are strictly VARC sections. The mocks that you will be taking are completely different from that. You need to take a lot of full-length mocks as well, so that you can build the stamina to sit for 2 hours, because just solving a section of 40 minutes versus taking a 2-hour long examination, specifically with 3 different sections, totally different sections, is a different game altogether. You need to take a lot of mocks, you need to take a lot of sections as well. Specifically, if you're relatively weak in verbal ability, take at least 20 sections, probably take 1 section every day until you're CAT. Okay, and when I say that you need to take a lot of sections, it doesn't mean that you just go ahead, write a lot of sections, and then just move on to the next one. Okay, you actually need to understand what you are doing. You need to analyze every single section that you are taking. Okay, I'll explain more on the analysis part in the next slide. Okay, but try to understand the basic idea that just solving question is not going to serve the purpose. Okay, you need to actually understand what you are doing, where you are going wrong, what exactly it is that's working for you, what are the tweaks that you need to make in order to push your score a bit higher, what exactly it is that you are doing wrong, figure that out, correct that out, or probably skip that out altogether. For instance, you might figure out that you completely suck at reading comprehension questions from the applications category. Okay, then it might be a better idea to not attempt those type of questions anymore. Okay, since we are relatively short on time. Okay, so you can only try to focus on your strengths. Okay, why do you want to spend so much time on an area that's hardly going to be 2 or 3 questions, when you can use the same time to probably build up on your strength? Okay, probably reduce your time there so you can attempt an extra verbal ability problem, instead of spending a lot of time practicing something that has a relatively low likelihood of being improved at this point. Okay, that is something that you are supposed to analyze, and then you are supposed to revise the areas where you're getting stuck. Okay, for instance, you're constantly getting para completions wrong, you're constantly getting odd man outs wrong, you're constantly getting summary questions wrong. Then it might be a good idea to go back to your classes, go back to your notes, practice quite a few questions from these categories, because by now you will have a certain direction that, okay, this is some place that I'm getting wrong. For instance, let's say you might be extremely bad at summaries, then it might be a good idea to practice a lot of summary problems, because these are the things that you can definitely improve by enough practice, by more and more practice. This is something where practice actually gives you immediate reward. Okay, so specifically from a VA standpoint, not RC's, just a VA standpoint, there are a lot of things that you can improve upon. Obviously, parajumble is not one of them, because the probability of getting a parajumble problem right is 1/24 as compared to 1/4 or 1/5 in the other question types. Okay, so I honestly think that parajumble is not an area where you should be spending a lot of time on at this point. If you are bad at parajumbles, try to practice a parajumbles. I'm not saying that completely disregard parajumbles, but do not have a lot of expectations from that particular area. Okay, probably use that time to work on segments, work on areas that can show you a relatively better improvement, that can actually push your score with a relatively higher probability, such as summary, such as odd man outs, okay, or even para completions for that matter. So instead of specifically if you are weak in the other two sections as well, okay, and you're just looking at a certain refresher, probably spending time instead of spending time on para jumbles, try to spend more time on summaries or other variants of RCs or other variants of verbal ability, because para jumble just has a relatively higher risk and lower reward. It's not like that you get extra marks for getting a para jumble right. It's going to be constant. So use your time judiciously. Okay, at the same time, and I think I touched upon this point briefly as well, that instead of reading a lot of articles, try to solve more RC. Even if you're getting 15-20 minutes, solve another RC, probably of an area that you're not comfortable with, whatever seals your boat, but solve more and more RCs. Try to solve at least 5 or 6 different RCs every single day, apart from the mocks and sections you are taking. But again, there has to be a certain priority. Your first priority is always going to be sectionals and mocks, okay? Everything else is secondary, okay? Because mocks and sections will give you that additional practice that you need. But you also, if you can find the time, if you're relatively weak in VARC, let's say you are good at quant, you are good at LRDA, but you are really struggling with VRC, then it might make more sense to spend more time at VRC and practice more and more RCs. Okay, basically build up your fundamental, build up your practice, and that is another way of improving the entire area. Okay, practice more RC, probably target 5 or 6 RCs every day for the next 25 days. Even if you're just taking 25 RCs, on an average you would be able to solve 100 to 130 RCs, depending upon +1 -1 every single day. Okay, so even if you get a target of 100 RCs before CAT, that is easily attainable, that is easily achievable. So specifically if you are weak at RC, try to achieve these targets, try to do all of that. At the same time, when you are taking your mocks, when you are taking your section, there would be times where your score suddenly drops, okay, and this idea might pop up in your head that what if I just increase my attempts, and then because I'm attempting more, my score will also obviously increase. Please do not make the mistake of doing this. Do not ever make the mistake of sacrificing accuracy for a slight or even a significant increase in attempt. You get marks for getting questions right, not for solving questions. Okay? Please do not make the mistake of sacrificing accuracy for a slight increase in attempts. Please do not do that. Even if you're able to solve just 10 or 12 questions on your CAT examination, just solve those 10 and 12, but have an extremely high accuracy there. Okay, that alone will push your score higher. Specifically in the VRC portion, people just make the mistake of assuming that they know everything, because English is something that looks easy. Okay, people normally tend to over attempt in this section, and that obviously has a negative impact on their overall score. Okay, instead of negatively affecting your score, try to only focus on areas where you are good at. Try to only attempt questions where you're 100% sure. Okay, do not ever make the mistake of sacrificing accuracy just for the slight chance that increasing the number of questions will push your score forward. That is not going to happen. Okay, probabilistically as well, if you are marking everything as a fluke, okay, even then your score is going to be 0. So please do not make the mistake of sacrificing accuracy in the hopes that more attempts will equal more score. That does not work ever. Okay, what you can do is that you can methodologically work on your speed and accuracy. So for instance, let's say you are solving 10 questions, okay, with 90% accuracy. That is, you are getting 9 out of 10 questions right. What you can do at this point is that you can probably start to solve 12 questions instead of 10. That is a 20% increase in the number of questions attempt. Obviously, when you do that, your accuracy will decrease a bit. Okay, so probably it might go from 90 to 80. What you can do at this point is that you can then work towards improving your accuracy again. Once this again starts to hit 90, for instance, you might get 11 out of 12 right. 11 out of 12 right on average. Okay, then you can again try to increase this number from 12 to let's say 13 or 14. Again, your accuracy will take a nosedive. Okay, again you have to improve your accuracy. Once again this is around 90 or probably more than 90% ideally, you can try to improve this number more and more. It should not be the case that you are trying to directly jump from 10 to 50, 10 to 15 or 10 to 16. That will not work. It will just end up demotivating you that you are not able to attempt more. You are not able to attempt more because your expectations are not right. Okay, you cannot take significant leaps at this point. Try to balance both your accuracy and speed, but never sacrifice speed. Never sacrifice accuracy for speed. Okay, always prioritize accuracy, and then if you're able to achieve this, if you're able to go through this, then increase your attempts, increase your overall attempts one by one and in bits and pieces. Let's again talk about speed. Okay, I think I have majorly covered this portion as well, but then again I'll still summarize the entire discussion again. Speed is not just about how quickly you're able to solve something. Speed is also about how quickly you're able to determine whether this question needs to be solved or not. For difficult problems, we try to attempt difficult questions towards the end, specifically when it comes to RCs, because RCs are time consuming. One RC can on an average be done in around 7.5 to 8.5 minutes, but there will be RCs on your examination, in all probability, that will take a lot of time. That might even take you 11 to 12 minutes. Now, that is a really huge opportunity cost on the examination scenario. That might just change the entire course of your paper. Try to understand a really simple thing, that even if you're able to take 20 to 30 seconds, if you're able to reduce just 20 to 30 seconds from every RC, okay, on an average, then you will still have around 60 to 90 seconds extra. Okay, and those 60 to 90 seconds can be used to solve probably one or two more VA problems, and those one or two problems can basically push your percentile by a significant margin. They are 4 or 8 marks that we are talking about. If you are stuck in a 99 percentile range, those 4 marks will basically push you towards 99.5 or even 99.6. They might push you to 99.5 or 99.6 even. Okay, you need to take this concept seriously, that when we talk about speed, it shouldn't be the case that you are trying to reduce the average time of RCs from, let's say, 10 minutes to 5 minutes. That is not going to work. Okay, that's not how it should be done. What you can do instead is that you can try to reduce the overall time of per RC by probably 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then use the extra time to solve more VA problems, or probably try to squeeze in another RC problem that you're not normally able to solve. Okay, again, I'll say the same thing, that speed can only be improved in bits and pieces. The primary focus should always be on accuracy. Okay, if your accuracy is extremely high, it's really good, probably something around 90, probably more than 90%. Obviously the ideal accuracy is 100%, but from a more realistic and a practical standpoint, anything above 90% is extremely good. So if your accuracy is already above 90% or more, then you can try to work on your speed. You can in bits and pieces try to improve your number of attempts. If you are attempting 12, try to attempt 13 or 14. Your accuracy will take a hit, then try to work on your accuracy, then again try to work on your attempts. Okay, it has to be a methodological, systematic approach. It should not be completely random. It should not be unrealistic. It has to be systematic. It has to be practical. You ideally cannot expect yourself to double the number of attempts and then accuracy to stay the same. It's not going to be the case. It will take time and effort. It needs to be methodological and it needs to be systematic. Okay, lastly, here's the model strategy that I talked about. So this is something that is really simplistic. Okay, so for the first 25 to 30 minutes or even 20 to 30 minutes, you try to attempt 2 or 3 RCs with a couple of VA problems. So here's the simple idea. Let's say you are taking 8 minutes per RC. Okay, so 2 or 3 RCs will take you around 16 to 24 minutes, and the ideal distribution for a VA problem is 1.5 minutes. So the VA part will take you around 4.5 to 7.5 minutes, round about. Okay, so if you just add it out, it will be probably less than 30 minutes, and then you can use the remaining 10 to 15 minutes to solve the round 2. Probably you can go back to the difficult RCs that you have left with, or the difficult VA problems that you are left with. Okay, so the fundamental idea is that you first prioritize the easy or medium questions, easy and medium problems, and then you go to the difficult problems. Okay, so go with the simple approach. So for instance, it could be the case that you are relatively lower on that your speed is on the lower side. So this part alone will take you a lot of time. Probably this part alone will take you 40 minutes. So again, that is not the idea that we are dealing with. Okay, that's totally fine if you are in that range. Different people have different speed, different people have different accuracy rates. That's totally fine. I'm just talking about from an ideal standpoint. Okay, but the idea in this particular case would be that complete round 1 and then move to round 2 in a systematic manner. So if you're able to complete this in, let's say, 40 minutes, okay, try to reduce this to, let's say, 38 or 37 minutes. You get an extra 3 minutes, and then use those 3 minutes to solve probably 1 or 2 more VA problems. That is probably one way through which you can improve your attempts as well. Okay, the idea here is, well, in round 1, let's say in the RC part, your accuracy is around 90%. Okay, so out of these 8 or 10 questions, let's say if you're solving 2 RCs in the first go, okay, out of these let's say 10 problems, you got 9 right. Okay, and out of these 5 VA problems, let's say you got 4 right. Okay, 4 out of 5, so that's still 13 out of 15 problems. Okay, let's say you are now left with 10 minutes, and these 10 minutes you can solve one difficult RCs, let's say with a 75% accuracy. That's again a 4 out of 5. Okay, so overall you would be getting a 17 out of 20. Okay, so this is probably one way that the more time that you can squeeze out of the other area. So for instance, this is taking you 10 minutes. Probably if you squeeze this to 9 minutes, you will be able to solve one more VA problem. Then it would be probably the same idea, that you just keep on improving your attempts in a certain manner. And again, this is just a certain example. I'm not asking you guys to replicate the same thing. You have to figure out your own strategy based on your analysis, based on your performance, etc., etc. And based on all of that, you can have a variant of that. So for instance, instead of 2 or 3 RCs, you can attempt all of the RCs first and then move to the probability part, or it could be the case that you start with VA, then move to the RCs part, and then move to round 2 in a certain fashion, in a certain manner. Or it could be the case that you solve 3 RCs, solve the entire VA, and then move to the remaining difficult RCs. That's entirely up to you. There can be infinite iterations of the same strategy, of the same model. Okay, or it could be the case that this does not make sense for you at all. Then you need to analyze these things on your own. If this does not work out, then you need to figure out a strategy of your own, because I can guarantee that there will be a lot of cases where this will not work. Okay, so I hope you guys got something out of this video. That will be all from my own. That will be all from my end. Please let me know in case there are any questions or queries or concerns. I'll be more than happy to address them. Thank you.